So, hello and welcome back to the Sports Cards UK podcast. It has been a while. I am looking to bring the podcast back. It's back stronger than ever. That is kind of the punchline of this particular podcast, or maybe not punchline, but the maybe tagline of the podcast. It's been a while since I've recorded the last one. They are still, all the old episodes are still up on Spotify and iTunes at the moment, but I'm going to look to add to those with as much content as I possibly can. I've been extremely busy with the house move and everything that's going on, so I feel like at the moment I'm kind of finally settled. I've got this kind of new backdrop that you can see here for the YouTube viewers, and obviously if you're listening to Spotify and iTunes, it's kind of pretty much just IKEA shelf, which I may have another one because I've got a bit of space on the left hand side of me, so I don't yet quite know what I'm going to do, but there's a series of kind of graded cards up there at the moment. So we got a few PC cards with some Sessignon autos. Actually picked that up from Northern Sports Cards, so thank you. And then we've got some graded cards up at the top, actually most of which are probably on my eBay, and a nice Bobby Charlton Chicks bubblegum 1958 rookie card, which I recently acquired, which is kind of right in the top left hand corner there, and a picture of my girlfriend as well. Very cute. But yeah, very, very excited to have the Sports Cards UK podcast back. I kind of just jumped straight in, all guns blazing. But yeah, we're back, bringing as much content as we possibly can. If you have got any topics, ideas that you want me to talk about, do let me know. We'll probably do a Q&A at some point in the future soon. But without further ado, let's jump straight into the podcast. So yeah, I've been trying to, I suppose the best place to start really is that I mentioned that I kind of had a house move. I moved into a new flat recently. I'm trying to keep the podcasts, I want to keep them sports cards based, but I want to kind of give you more of an idea of what's going on in terms of what I'm doing, where the content's going, what content I'm currently working on, who I'm working with, if I'm working with anyone in particular. Sports Cards UK has always been kind of a hobby of mine. It'll probably stay a hobby of mine for a long, long time. But it is getting more exciting in terms of opening up new avenues and doors and talking to loads of different people and creators and all sorts. So there's a lot of fun stuff and exciting stuff that's coming to the channel, some of which I can't talk about, but hopefully I will be able to soon. I've just come back from Malta. I went on holiday in Malta fairly recently, so that was quite interesting. I went away for a week. Malta is currently on the amber list. I think they're talking about abolishing the amber list, which would be pretty cool so that people can go on holiday. I would advise people to go on holiday if you do it safely, if you're double vaxxed, providing you got all the paperwork. It was actually really, really easy. We went from Heathrow Airport, and it was an absolute dawdle. I mean, we got there, probably the whole thing took about 15 minutes to get through the security and the gate. It was brilliant. And then same on the way back from Malta. It was really, really nice and easy. So yeah, that was good fun. It was nice to take a break from, not a break from making content, but a break from everything. Obviously, I have a full-time job at the moment in the software industry. So yeah, software is kind of my main job. I'm employed. And then I have sports cards on the side, which is kind of just a kind of a hobby that does work as a side hustle. So a lot of people do ask me, do I do sports cards full time? It'd be great if I did, because I can't pump out as much content as I'd like. But yeah, at the moment it is kind of balancing the two. So I tend to do all the sports card stuff at the weekend, try and cram a video in here and there, and hopefully keep them consistent. So the kind of the plan is to keep doing Mail Monday videos. They're 100% my easiest video to film. They're the nicest video to film. They're the most exciting, fun. And I do think they're kind of the best performing videos on the channel. I do want to keep box breaks coming. I've done lots of sort of cello packs, smaller packs, value packs. So I'm going to keep those coming, maybe blasters if I can get them. But I'm going to stick to that. I did do some hobby boxes initially when I first started the channel, and I was getting those at about £120, and they're currently at like 400. Like I saw a Don Ross NFL hobby box at 400, which considering there's 100, or there seems like there's a lot more premium products than Don Russ, and Don Russ hobby boxes are $400. That just seemed crazy to me. So I'm sticking with buying singles and sticking with buying graded cards. The strategy has slightly changed. I know initially when I first started doing the old sports cards thing, the idea was to pick up cheap raw cards and then get everything graded, which I kind of did do. I've got 98 cards currently out with PSA, which I'm waiting to hear back from and get back. My July submission of last year has only just gone into the grading process, so I got a notification recently by Graded Gem to say that they're in the grading process, which I believe is like step 4 or 5 of 8, so there's still a long way to go. And then they actually have to get shit back from America, so that'd be interesting as and when I get those. I'm not kind of hoping or banking on those coming back. It's kind of a lot of money that's held out there at the moment in limbo, so hopefully when I can get that back, I can sell a lot and make some bigger purchases. But the strategy has changed, and it has had to have changed because a lot of money is held up in those investments that are overseas. So I've kind of had to rebuild capital again, and the way that I'm doing that is just buying and selling raw cards. So I'm buying a raw card as I was doing before, but then also selling it raw, which has been working just as well. I'm not kind of holding out on grading. I'm not holding on to cards as much as or as long as I was previously. Some of the cards that I bought in March of last year I still have, and we're going, oh yeah, he's going to have a great career, he's a wonder kid. But I think I'm in the mindset now of I can always buy a card back. I think if I can make the profit, I'll make the profit, and then if I want to buy that card again in the future, I can always buy that card again. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it now. I'm flipping wonder kids. I'm not necessarily waiting for them to be in their prime like initially is what I thought I was going to do. And that's a good long-term investment strategy, but if you want to keep building and building to kind of have a bigger inventory or buy more expensive cards, then you kind of have to flip your way up to that. So that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. So it's good to give you kind of an idea of the strategy that I'm currently working on, and to give you kind of an idea of what's happening, really, what's happening with the channel, what's happening with me, what I'm doing, and hopefully me giving you kind of a bit more of an insight into my life might be a little bit more interesting. I don't know, let me know down in the comments. Apologies if I do keep looking down. I'm looking down at my notes here. I'm not the best going off the cuff, so I do kind of tend to write some notes down of topics to talk about. And I've covered a couple of there already. So I know one thing that I wanted to talk about fairly recently is Paddy The Baddie. I saw that Panini Instant are doing a Paddy The Baddie rookie card, so that's someone that I'm very much interested in. I've been following Paddy The Baddie since Cage Warriors. Paddy The Baddie Pimblett is a MMA fighter who's recently just got signed to the UFC. He just had his first fight last weekend, as at the time of making this video. And he turned down the UFC twice. He wasn't ready. I think when they first asked him, he was only 21, and he didn't want to take kind of 2-3 losses. He didn't want to kind of be one of those guys that comes into the UFC too young. They feed him difficult to beat opponents in his really early stage of his career. He loses a couple of fights, and then he doesn't quite be the star that he could have been if he waited a little bit longer. So that's kind of his thinking. He has a ket wig, as they call in Liverpool, which is his haircut. It's kind of a longer, blonde, almost mullet-looking thing, but without the shaved sides and a kind of a fringe. I believe they call it a ket wig. I'm not quite sure why, but there you go. So he's got the look. He says he's the new cash cow of the UFC. I believe him. Do I think he's kind of the slickest UFC fighter or the slickest MMA fighter I've ever seen? No, not really. He was waving his chin in the air, which is slightly worrying. I know he was saying that he does do that and he gets himself into trouble by doing that. But obviously, if you do that against the wrong opponent, you're going to get knocked out. His flying triangles are fantastic. If you know anything about MMA and UFC, he's got these kind of really flexible long legs that when he kind of pulls guard and he's got the person on top of him, his legs can slide right over the person's back, and he can pull triangles and arm bars and all sorts from those positions. So his grappling is actually fantastic. He's a grappler really, but his stand-up game has really, really improved recently, and he wanted to show that in his first UFC bout, so in his debut, and he did do that. He threw some brilliant head kicks, and then he ended up knocking the guy out on his feet. I think the fight barely went to the ground, so really, really impressed with that. Panini have released a Panini Instant Rookie card, which will be his first and only card that exists. So I did pick up 5 of those. I picked up 5 of those from Trading Cards UK, I think his name is on Instagram. Really, really good guy. He put a thing on his story saying, I'm buying a load of these from America, who wants one? So I picked up 5 from him. It worked out quite well because he was buying a bunch, and the sort of the postage and the tax charge to bring over from America was a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, it was helpful to buy off someone that was buying kind of loads of cards in bulk. So yeah, Paddy the Baddie is someone that I'm really, really excited about. So UFC and MMA has always been on my mind. I do own a few Sean O'Malley Topps Chrome rookie cards. So I picked up 5 of those ages ago, and they've done pretty well for me. And maybe those two will kind of have a fight one day. They're in a similar weight class. I think if O'Malley moves up to lightweight, then he could potentially fight Paddy the Baddie. But I think O'Malley's in bantamweight potentially at the moment, or maybe featherweight. But yeah, maybe their paths will cross. I don't think not just yet. I think Paddy the Baddie is probably going to fight some opponents outside of the top 15. I hope he does. I hope they don't feed him too nasty opponents. But yeah, very, very excited about him. The new cash cow of the UFC. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is picking up top trumps. I have been buying the shit out of top trumps. You've seen me buy top trumps before for things like Ronaldo. Sean White is someone that I'm interested in. Beyonce and Eminem rookie cards I've been picking up. I've also been looking at the Hamilton from 2005 from the Top Trumps Sporting Heroes set. That's Hamilton's true rookie card. Verstappen's got a true rookie card as well. That's the Top Trumps. Elon Musk has got a rookie card. So there's loads and loads of Top Trumps cards. If you can get them in really, really good condition, they're very, very difficult to grade, especially the early sets because they were kind of passing hands lots. So yeah, that's something that I'm interested in at the moment and that I'm picking up. I'm getting a lot of flack for it on Instagram, which is totally understandable. I know there will be those guys that are vintage football collectors that are very kind of stuck to, I'm investing in Bobby Charlton, Maradona, Pele, Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, and then that's it. And then I don't get me wrong, I get that, I totally understand that, but to take a risk here and there is a bit of fun. I mean, I used to be a bit of a gambler. I used to love an ACCA on the weekend, but this is my form of gambling these days, so I don't do too much of the old Sky Bet anymore. However, that's my way of gambling, is chucking 99p on a Top Trumps card and hoping it pays off. Another few things that I'm doing at the moment is buying slabs in the UK. So actually, I've kind of got a pretty decent slabs collection. I've just got a few. So this is kind of a selection of slabs. You can see there's quite a few here in my hands. I've got all sorts. I mean, there's some slabs that are actually behind me on the top shelf as well. But yeah, I'm seeing slabs hit the UK eBay market now, which is really, really nice to see. So I'm kind of picking up slabs on bids as much as I can to kind of really bring eyes to my eBay store, but then also take pictures of my Instagram to try and increase Instagram followers. And yeah, so it does bring eyes to the eBay pages. People will click on your stuff if you've got lots of slabs. Slabs are harder to get hold of in the UK, as a lot of people do know. They're so easy to find in the US, but not necessarily in the UK. So whilst everyone's waiting for their graded cards to come back, if you've got slabs, you probably, unless it's a really common card, you've probably got the only slab in the UK in the market. So you can price it a little bit higher than some of the sales in America. I know some people do message you and try and show you, US comps, but actually being from the UK, you can get away with charging a little bit more than US comps, because people, if they want to buy from the US, they're going to have to use Ship My Cards or ship it, get it shipped international, or they're potentially, if they're not going to use either of them, they're going to have to pay high shipping fees and VAT. So yeah, I've been picking up loads and loads of slabs, as much as I can. The right slabs. I'm not trying to pick up anything and everything. There are going to be £20 baseball cards, like Gavin Lux rookies, that you might see for £20. You might think, oh great, it's a slabbed card, a PSA 9 Gavin Lux Topps Series 1 or something. But then again, it is just the most common card ever. And you'll see like ridiculous sales in the US of like £5 for a PSA 10 just because no one's bidding on it. It's just crazy at the moment. So I am buying as much graded stuff as I can, but obviously at the right price, and trying to do it on bids and then selling it on buy now is kind of the strategy that I'm doing at the moment. A couple of other things just to mention is I am going back to vintage as much as I can. I've picked up some new vintage cards. I picked up a rookie of Stanley Matthews. I picked up another Ardaf Cigarettes card of him. With the vintage stuff, I absolutely love the vintage stuff. And I think the reason I haven't been picking it up as much is because I've actually kept 99% of it and not sold any of it. I'm just so in love with some of the vintage stuff, especially the old Panini stickers, the A and B C stuff, some of the old Top stuff. I've just found it really, really hard to let it go. So I am kind of keeping a lot of that stuff to one side, and eventually will grade it with maybe SGC, because the SGC vintage stuff does well. Or if I think it's in particularly good condition, PSA, and maybe pay about £100 or something per card for the grading fees once they come down, which I think is soon, or maybe even out now. But then I'm kind of trying to buy doubles of things on bids and stuff so that I can get rid of them. So I do want to keep... I don't want my eBay to be completely modern stuff. I do want to have some Stanley Matthews. I do want to have some Maradona stuff. I do want to have some Mario Kempes stuff. Some, some Dixie Dean stuff, or some... even some kind of like older stuff like Don Bradman, like cricket rookies and other bits and pieces. So I kind of want to keep the oddball stuff in there as well that does do really well. Some old school boxing as well, Jack Dempsey rookie cards, that sort of thing. I think I want to keep adding those to my eBay as well to keep the variety in there. I don't want to kind of just have top trumps cards and modern stuff. I do want to kind of have multiple sports in there. So even not just soccer, even things like tennis. So the Net Pro 2003 set, I'm going to try and add a few bits on there to my eBay. And I think really I'm looking at having an eBay shop. I don't want kind of 2-3 items on my eBay, which is, for some reason, I had it in my head that was the way to have it, is to have 2 free centerpiece items on your eBay. Don't get distracted by other items, and then once they sell, you just upload more stuff on there, which I just think was the dumbest strategy. I don't know why I did that. I'm trying to upload as much as I possibly can, keep it a mix of bids and buy it nows, and I think that's really, really working quite well for me. Basketball is something that I'm buying quite a lot of. What I find quite interesting is that how basketball tends to work is people will buy rookie cards of players that didn't really perform that well, and they don't think they're going to be in the top 10 rookies of that year, and they tend to buy them within that same draft class year that they're at. So for example, the 2021 draft class has got LaMelo Ball and all these new rookies. Some people are buying rookies that didn't necessarily perform that well, are probably outside of the top 10, and will still continue to buy them within the 2021 season or just before the new 2021-2022 season started. However, as soon as the 2021 to 2022 season starts the next year, those players that are outside the top 10 rookies, their prices just plummet. So it's interesting to know that if you do have rookie cards of the players that tend to be outside the top 10, it is best to sell them within that first year, in my opinion. You can bank on them maybe not having the start that they we're expected to have, and then potentially do become great, but that's a pretty big risk. So I expect that to happen again. If I do buy any sealed boxes that I'm looking to open up on the channel for 2021 to 2022 of the new draft class guys, a lot of it I will be selling, apart from the maybe top 5 rookies in that particular draft class, or anyone that performs particularly well in that season. So that's going to be my strategy, and it's really the only stuff that I'm probably going to keep for basketball is Select, Prism, and Optic. I think the rest of it I probably will sell, unless it's a Don Russ of maybe the top 5. The rest is going to go. All NBA hoop stuff is probably going to go. So yeah, we'll just kind of see how that goes, and I'll be flipping a lot of the basketball guys, maybe during the season or maybe just before the season. So it's kind of weird how the product comes out. We haven't quite got all of the 2020-21 product out yet, I don't think, and the season's finished now. So how that works, I'm not 100%, but we'll see with that one. And I'm looking to pick up as much basketball as I can now, when the prices are really, really low, and then flip it before the start of the season. So things like Kyle Kuzma rookie cards, I'm enjoying at the moment with the move to the Pelicans. So before the start of the season, I'll be interested to see if he gets a lot of coverage. ESPN do lots of talks on the new Pelicans team and all sorts. Players like Lonzo Ball moving to Chicago Bulls as well is interesting. So transfer talk and hype as well is kind of a good time to buy and sell sports cards as well. To buy quickly and then sell almost instantly once the news articles hit. So how long have we been going for? 22 minutes. So it's a pretty decent podcast to start off with. I didn't have too much that I really wanted to kind of note down or say. I kind of mumbled through the beginning of it and kind of added some of my points here and there. It wasn't necessarily the most structured podcast, but it's I'm a little bit rusty, I suppose you could say. It's been a while since I did one of these, but I want to keep them consistently coming, so they will keep coming on Spotify and iTunes. I will upload the whole thing to YouTube as well. And if you do have any comments about the podcast, if you want to see anything, if you want me to talk about anything, let me know, and I can talk about it. I can mention some of your comments as well if you've asked questions. I can do definitely a Q&A at the end of the podcast, or if there's not enough questions, I can try and put them all into one video and save them all up. But yeah, any ideas, do let me know. It'll be much appreciated. So thank you very much for listening and watching this podcast. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you're happy that the podcast is back. There'll be more episodes coming soon. I'll try and keep them as consistent as I can, and keep the subjects as interesting as I can. So yeah, thank you for listening and watching, and I'll see you on the next Sports Cards UK podcast. Thanks very much.